Hello there, my name is Vanessa Smedley and I'm a painter. Well, just like at least half of the country, Oklahoma was recently buried under a lot of snow and ice. So I thought I would paint the view outside my window right here. I really just loved the way that the snow was covering the crepe myrtle in this way, which is kind of funny because crepe myrtle is a very hot weather type of plant. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting, so I thought we'd paint this in gouache today. So, let's do this! Here are the materials for today. Go ahead and screenshot this, or they're listed in the description of the video for you. Okay, I'm going to start out by mixing up some colors, and these are all three mixes of Payne's gray and ultramarine blue in varying degrees. I'm starting out by wetting the entire sky area with a nice lovely 1.5 inch Hake brush, and then I am just dropping in that color very lightly. I believe it's one that had more Payne's gray in it than the ultramarine blue, and I'm making it a little bit darker at the top, but this is a very kind of gray drab sky, and there's only just a tiny little hint of color just to differentiate it from white. Then I'm allowing that to dry. Now that all of that has dried, I have mixed up a thicker consistency of the same color, and I am turning my brush on its side using a nice dry mix of that, and I am dry brushing in a tree line in the background here. Now if you go back and look at the original photo that I'm using, obviously there are some houses there, but I have removed those because they're my neighbors' houses and I'm sure they don't appreciate being included. So I've come back in with a darker version of that color. I've put it along the bottom of this tree line, and then I have sprayed that with this spray bottle to help the color to move. I've also added some hill contours here at the bottom with a nice light mix of that. And then I'm just going to come back in with a palette knife and scrape in some branches and things in the trees back here. And what that'll do is the paint will just settle into those scrapes and it will become darker. And that is all I'm going to do to the background, because the focus of this painting is going to be all of these snow-covered branches in the foreground. Okay, here we go. So for all of the snow on top of all of these tiny little branches here, I've mixed up a nice bluish mix of the same color, a little heavier on the blue than the Payne's gray, and now I'm coming in and I am kind of just eyeballing where all of these tiny little branches are going to be, and I'm doing the snow first, which may not have been the world's, wisest idea, but that's the way I chose to do it. So I'm adding in all of these piles of snow basically first, and then I'm going to come back in and add the branches later. And let me tell you something, that took a heck of a lot of concentration. I don't know that I would recommend it that way. I think maybe it might be smarter to go ahead and put the branches in first and then put all the snow on top of it, but that's not the way I chose to do it. You'll also notice that the snow on the branches is quite a bit darker than the sky and the background, and it's a little bit counterintuitive because you would think that snow would be white, but it's because all of this is in shadow, and of course the sky will be a lot lighter than anything in front of it. And the background is lighter because anything in the distance is always lighter. So once I got a nice lovely layer of that done, I came back in and mixed up some burnt umber with some Payne's gray, and then to kind of give it that blue tone that everything else had, I have added in some ultramarine blue. Alright, so now we are adding in those branches with the nice lovely little detail brush. And let me tell you, this ended up being very tedious because with branches, normally it is a lot more natural looking if you're kind of spontaneous with it. But since I already have the snow part there, I had to not be as spontaneous because the snow is already there. So you kind of have to put the branch at the bottom of the snow. So it was pretty tedious, I'm not gonna lie. But I did do my best to paint it in kind of like that natural sort of flowing manner anyways. Next, I've taken some white gouache and I've added just a little bit of that ultramarine blue into it, and now I'm going to come back in, and since this is gouache, I can paint a lighter color over the top of a darker color. So I'm adding in some highlights on the snow part, and this is kind of what's going to make it look cool and like a little bit translucent to where you see the light through the snow. And that's going to afford it some more depth and give it that snow texture. Because in some places I'm going to be basically dry brushing this lighter color over the top, and that's going to kind of give it a little bit of that kind of grainy texture that snow has. And when you're working with white gouache, you are probably going to have to do several coats of this in order to get it to where you can actually see that it's there. Just be prepared for that. Because basically it has this nasty habit of disappearing once it dries. Once I got all of that lovely highlight in there, I decided that some of the branch area was not quite dark enough. It turned out to be a little too transparent for my liking. So I mixed up a thicker version of my brown color, and I am just coming back in and darkening all of that up. And I only did that on the largest branches. Those tiny little ones, I was not going to try to retrace those. A couple of these branches are coming towards us a little bit more than the others, and they have a bit of a shadow. So I've mixed up a little bit more Payne's Gray into our snow color, and I'm painting that on the underside of this one branch here. And that is going to afford some more lighting effects on this. Now that we're mostly finished, I'm coming back in with a white brush pen, and I'm just going right over the top of that and adding in some nice final white highlights. And that's just going to add a little bit more of a lighting effect to this, where you've got your kind of like sparkling snow and your light showing through. It's also going to keep some of these branches from blending into the background too much and bring them forward in the eye a little bit. And here's the finished product, all dry and with the tape removed. And I think gouache is a whole lot of fun for snow. Like, you can just add snow on top of darker things, and it makes it a whole lot easier than watercolor. Maybe I'm just lazy in that manner, but anyways, this was a lot of fun for me to paint. And there you have it. Even though most of you have probably had it up to here with snow, we've done a lovely little snow-covered crepe myrtle. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share all of that stuff, because that's how this channel gets to grow. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.